Okay, kind of a rare, well, not really rare, I should say, but definitely a little bit more uncommon of a setup. So what we're listing here is a Jeep Wrangler YJ. Could be used as a Cherokee, although they're slightly different the way they clock these transfer cases to the manual transmission. But what you're buying here is kind of two things. You're getting a manual transmission, and you're also getting the matching transfer case, but more importantly is you're getting the manual transmission AX15 with a SYE kit transfer case. So I'm not going to go into all the details on this, at least this video, on why that is such an advantage. But if your Jeep is lifted, above 2.5 inches, or even just any lift really, is when you really should start considering strengthening the transfer case, and basically meaning that you get an H yoke, which is that guy right there. It allows for a little bit more of a drop, so you don't get such a tight angle going from your rear pinion of your axle, these guys, right, up to there. So it doesn't bind as bad and cause vibration, which ultimately usually takes out the transfer case. So that's one thing you're getting in this, but you're also getting an AX15. Now, who could use this kit right here? Pretty much anybody with a YJ can use this. So if you have an AX15 already and need a replacement and happen to want the SYE kit, this would fit your boat. But we're really selling this as a conversion from a BA10. So that's going to be 87 to 89 Wrangler YJs, Cherokees, yada, yada, yada. Okay, those are going to have Peugeots in them. And that's going to be the transmission side of it. And that's not a bad transmission until they go out. And once they go out, at that point, they're hard to find people to rebuild them, if not impossible. They're expensive to buy used, and then you don't even know really what you're getting. So going to the AX15, which was used from 1990 all the way up to 1999, so quite a while, where the Peugeot was only used for 2 years, is really what, is reason why. So if you fit the boat of 87 to 89 Wrangler, Cherokee, Comanche, this would be a great setup for you. Now, if you're not lifted at all and don't have any interest in that part of it, we could peel this one off. You would still need a transfer case to match if you are switching from a Peugeot. And the reason is because those have 21 spline input shafts, and AX15 has a 23. So that would still be needed, but we could get you, it would knock a little bit off the price by not having to buy the installed SYE kit and the rear drive shaft. Okay, so that's one. And then the other conversion this could be for is an automatic to a manual conversion. And really, if that's the case, you could go into any year YJ. And actually, that 15 there could be used without much problem or effort to put into a TJ as well. Actually, this whole setup could be used in a TJ. It would be slightly different shifters and stuff, and we could get that package together for you as well. Okay, so one last thing I'm going to talk about this for any information out there, if you're watching this video more for informative versus buying, is so this was a 9091. This is a very hard AX15 to find because they work directly into an 8789. The pilot input shaft tips on these guys, which is up here, is the same as the early ones, and those get pretty fat in the later. I don't think I have one out here, which is still doable, but not as easy to do as far as pilot bushings and whatnot. But one last thing I want to mention on this thing that would make this kit even better, and if it was like this, I would have sold it this way, but otherwise, we are giving you the slave cylinder. This is an internal slave cylinder and master slave kit. We're giving you a used one, and I don't warranty those pieces, and I specifically don't because they're a real pain in the ass, but they're here. So what I usually tell people is use them as an example and then replace them. What I would do if it was me, because I hate internal slaves on Jeeps specifically, they're just a really big of a hassle. You have to drop the transmission if you ever have one of these things go bad, which is actually I have a guy coming here right now to buy the conversion kit. We sell just the conversion kit in case you have already an AX15 and want to go to an external slave. We sell that kit as well. But it does cost more money to do, But it's one of those things that you do it, and if it ever goes bad, a slave cylinder, for example, goes bad, you're just counting your lucky stars, and you're thinking, oh man, this is a 10-minute job, no big deal. I can buy it pre-bled, blah, 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 blah. It really makes this whole internal slave BS non-existent. Versus this guy, if this thing goes bad, and when I say this goes bad, I'm talking about this slave cylinder. My back's a little jacked right now. So this guy in here, right? So if that goes bad, which is really common, especially with the aftermarket crap they're selling out there, you have to literally drop this entire stem, or at least the transmission, and pull. Well, you have to do everything. You have to pull this whole thing out in order to get down to pull this guy off your engine, to get that guy out. So a lot of information in this video, but the purpose of it obviously is to sell this kit. But also, like I said, we've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this for 20 years, and been wanting to do one of these. These sell so quick. So these sell quick when they're not set up with SYE. They're just very hard to get, and you know, this one is even harder because it has all the goodies on it. The only goodie it doesn't have is the external slave. So if you're interested in that, with that kit, give me a shout, and I will build that kit and add that on. It definitely adds some money to it, but like I said, huge difference long term. So, okay, if you have any questions, comments, definitely you know, subscribe to our channel and message us or call us. We're Jeeps Unlimited is our you know, our name, our legacy name since 1984. Parts Breakers since the last couple years. We won't get into why that is that way. Other than Fiat told us we can't use the Jeep name anymore. So we said, okay, we'll do that. So that's why it's Parts Breakers now. But anyway, we have 7 acres of rust-free Jeep parts, and really recently we've got a lot of really cool stuff in. This stuff, I'm about to do axle inventory. That's why these things are all over the place. Got some really good axles. Matter of fact, just for food for thought, if you got a little bit of cash to spend and want to do some good upgrading on your Wrangler right now, we got that guy, right? That's going to be an awesome one. I got a lift kit we just pulled. And then I got these bad boys that aren't fully set up yet as far as the rear goes. That's a 488, but it is perched for it. So it wouldn't take much to finish it up. And it's got 488 gears, which match the front axle. That's got a 488, so that's going to be sold as a set here, this pair. This will bolt right into a YJ. And again, that was mounted in a YJ, although they didn't have it moving down the road yet, so it probably still needs a little bit of testing and whatnot. But I think it's close, though. I think it's pretty close. I mean, Jeep was complete. It just, and then, but anyway, so 48 gears in those, both of those guys, a huge upgrade, especially if you're going to be running 33, 35, 30, depends. Like 33-inch tires is, you can do 410s unless the motor's tired. And if your motor's tired or a lot of miles, and these guys will help compensate for that. Anyway, that one's got an air locker in it. So that's another big, that's an ARB. That's really cool. And we'll get them cleaned up, the tape and crap on them, just because somebody was holding the harness on it. It's cool. So yeah, I got some really good stuff out here this week, and very abnormal to get this kind of stuff in, because we're really an OEM yard. It's what we've always been known for. I mean, we don't object when we get the fun stuff in like that. For upgrade wise, that guy, and of course this SYE setup over here. And just so you know, when I say upgrade, I mean the SYE's upgrade, but that transmission 9091 again, okay, that was a factory AX15 that was offered in those. So and whatnot. So cool. All right, well, and then just to give you a little tidbit, if you have a Cherokee, that's your setup right there. Okay, that's a Cherokee. Now that one there will work. That transfer case is kind of like this guy. Actually, that came out of a YJ as well. That somebody had converted an AW4. I'm not super familiar with that conversion, but it is possible. There's a lot of forums on them. So you can see the shorter drive shaft. That tells you that was from a Wrangler. That was actually out of the same year Wrangler as this guy was. And they just had an AW4 in front of it versus the AX15. That's another kit I'm going to be probably putting up here soon, or I'll just peel the transfer case off and then sell them separate, just because that's a little bit of an unusual one. So anyway, thanks for 10 minutes of your life. And if you have anything else you're wanting to do, or looking for a sweet Jeep Wrangler YJ Islander, we got one of those bad boys for sale. That's going to be listed here soon too. Normally don't sell them whole. That was my personal Jeep. So Cool. This is our office, and 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. There's my wife back there.